welcome back once again. It's a show that never ends, as they used to say. It's Goth Tarot, a part of TFT, Tarot for Today, Divine Dabblings with Oberon and Banshee. And I, Oberon, will navigate us through the dark shadows of the week, the goth or emo feelings, underpinnings, subconscious or otherwise, that may trouble us or may give us our own form of light. So to do that, I do a layered reading between a number of decks that all have more dark, emotional, emo, goth symbology. We're starting off with what I call the dark design, which is basically the keyword or focus for things going on this week. And I use the deck called The Murder of Crows. So we're going to start right now, and we use the Murder of Crows to pull the dark design, the idea about what our focus or what's going on in our environment. Okay. It's the reversed Queen of Swords. I think I'll put that to the north here. The reversed Queen of Swords would seem to say that there's some critical things going on in terms of judgments, and that you will be taking it upon yourself to be the role of the bitch. The Queen of Swords reversed, the person who maybe is out to right certain wrongs that they feel, or just wants to be maybe in charge of themselves, and it doesn't matter what others may want. And I realize that's kind of broad and overarching, so apologies for that, perhaps. I get the feeling like this is saying, too, that on that collective level, too, this could just be saying there's going to be some real harsh things going on this week that maybe amount to judgments against people that maybe aren't going to be fair. They may not really serve anybody's better interest. Okay, so from there, we want to move on to the Goth Tarot from Los Scarabo, and the question I ask here is, what are the dark shadows that haunt you? So in other words, the things that kind of remain that are mysterious, unknown, but yet somehow you are aware of them because they have an impact on you. Maybe it's emotionally, mentally, maybe there is something physically going on, but it's what haunts you despite what's going on in the current with that Queen of Swords. This is the thing that remains, that's just there in your life. It's the reversed Ace of Wands. So the thing that haunts you perhaps is the failure to start something meaningful, whether it's relationships or business or enterprise of some sort. Maybe it's just even, starting something new in your life that's supposed to grow. It's a new relationship. This feeling of having failed there or having too many delays to make it worthwhile is haunting you. because perhaps you feel this deems you a failure, and yet somehow you're holding on to this idea rather than cashing that in for a new project or new enterprise, a new boyfriend or a new girlfriend, whatever it is. You're holding on to that regret. It's the dark shadows that haunt you. So you need to be aware of that. On a collective level, this could be talking about not so much politics, but just manipulating people's emotions about particular subjects. Maybe the idea that we were moving in one direction, and that direction is always being compromised by other forces, and maybe it's time to figure out a new game plan altogether to move on to something different where we can find success. But it all depends. When it comes to human rights, we should never give up on human rights. That is all. Okay, so from the dark shadows, we move to another deck, and that's the Night Sun Tarot. And for this deck, what we want is the dark truth. So then it's the actual reality you inhabit, despite what I've said with these other cards. The Queen Bitch, or whatever we want to call her, is something that's going on right now in the now. But the real truth of the matter could be something different. It just really could be that. So we're going to pull from this Night Sun Tarot to achieve the dark truth, a reality that you do inhabit, despite everything else that we've been showing here. And it's the Hierophant upright. So the dark truth of the matter could be that there's a sense of conformity or of conventionality in your reality. And that could just be saying that, you know, you've really formalized or standardized your presence, whether it's a goth personality or whether you're actually just wandered in here by mistake, you know, and you're more of a Christian, born again type, but you've been drawn to these cards. This is still saying that, you know, the idea maybe of foregoing what you feel is convention is your reality, that you're not going to do that. So no matter what path you walk, you may feel you really have to stay there. And maybe there's good reasons to stay there too. There's a strength that could be there, and there could be just reassurances there of continuity that you need to have at this time. So this is saying really, you're not really looking at changing a lot of things that are going on, especially versus this situation going on here. The thing that haunts you, the failures, you're going to probably stick with that. And that's, of course, up to you. Now, there's another card that I pull from the Night Sun Tarot. It's the following card, and it is the Dark Sacrifice. It is the kind of thing about the sorrows that we bear, or the things that maybe we should consider giving up, like maybe that haunting thing there. That's why I use multiple decks, because sometimes I want the same card to have the possibility of showing up to reinforce some of those earlier cards or later cards. And it's the Reversed Lovers. And that's the Dark Sacrifice, the Reversed Lovers. Let's move Mr. First card up there. So, perhaps we have to consider that we're not able to choose wisely in some respects, that we may always find we're choosing the wrong thing for ourselves. And we need to either bear that sorrow that for some reason we are more inclined to go with the things that aren't going to really take us anywhere because they're more immediate. That's what it really comes down to, is that there's a sense of instant gratification by the lovers reversed, and it may forego us sometimes wanting to work harder, on achieving the same things, but maybe doing it the right way so that we won't so easily lose them. That's the possibility of this sacrifice, is that we may come to realize we have to give up the idea that we can always find the shortcut, the easier way. Sometimes we really do have to do things the hard way because we're meant to learn something there. Or maybe you don't really believe that. And what they say about that kind of sucks. But so it is. And so we move on to the next card, which I draw from the Vampire Tarot, because of course this deck talks about things that suck. So it is a regular tarot, but everything's been reinterpreted to be more Children of the Night oriented. And so in looking at what sucks, we call that the dark spiral. What is draining us? What is holding us back? What will not permit us to grow in a proper way, but maybe keeps us feeling like we're a victim and like we can't figure out how to escape the evil vampire that's causing this suckage, this psychic vampirism, the draining of our energy. So maybe if we can identify it, maybe we can figure out how to stake it. So the Vampire Tarot, what sucks? What is the dark spiral? And it's the reversed Eight of Wands. And so perfectly to me, this seems to suggest that what sucks is that things don't happen fast enough or accurately enough for us. We are lacking patience, waiting for some results of doomed attempts, whatever that may signify to you. To me, it's saying like something that's failed. And maybe that's why we're such a bitch here. That first card, is because we can't give up this idea of projects or things that have failed in our life and that we need to move on from those. But yet again, it just seems like we're not, what we should sacrifice is that feeling that we can get an instant gratification. And this kind of shows that what sucks is we don't have the patience. We don't want to wait for something to happen in its due course. We want it to happen faster. And maybe this also indicates too that we're not really caring so much about that process, that journey, and that focus to work on things and complete things. We would rather just say, look at me, need me, want me because I exist, rather than showing what the real reasons are that we need to do that. Okay, sometimes it does seem like Goth Tarot is depressing, but I'm trying to tell you things you all need, and even myself need, to peer through the darkness, because we need to do that once in a while. We still need to operate in the real world. I'm a firm believer that none of us can ever be in a separate community or even in a neutral situation. There's just too much going on. Astrologically, we have to know it's there. And even by the readings we do, we have to know it's there. And I'm not saying that you can't yourself try to be more neutral, more balanced about it, because really it may amount to the idea that you don't have what you need to make an informed decision on that. The world is real. And just because we want to see one thing doesn't mean that's really what's there for everybody to see. So now moving on to the final card, to get through this mess here, really, what is the dark gift? What are the insights, intuitions, hunches, abilities, or powers that you may have that could help you see through all of this? And I think I can stretch out these cards a little bit. I didn't realize I was going to have so much more room for it. You never know with Goth Tarot, do you? You know, it's this, it's that. There, that looks good, I think. Okay, so what is the dark gift? What will help us? What can help us this week? What do we already have that we know we can use? Reverse King of Cups. And the reverse King of Cups is a little tricky in this concept, so I'm going to give it a try. But I think the reversed King of Cups says sometimes we do have to go with what's real rather than what's mystical, that sometimes we have to get down to the brass tacks. Okay, I said it, the brass tacks. And the brass tacks may be telling us that our gift is to be able to see what is mumbo jumbo, what is mystical hoo-ha. I know some people say, well, you're reading tarot cards, that's just hoo-ha. No, it's not, at least not to me. But, you know, you're allowed to make that decision for how you feel about me. But what this card is saying really is for all the rest of us here, we need to understand that sometimes we have to be in charge of correctness, not necessarily intuiting things, but really finding them in an accurate way. And of course, I can put in a plug for the library. Go to the library, use the library's resources. There are many of them are online. But I think what this is really saying is that it may be hard at this time for us to wade our way through the dimensions of human emotions and things that are going on with a lot of other people. And so we just have to rely on really what you say it is, you know, what you say it is, the reality, the face truth, accepting things at face value. That's the best way to say that. The idea that sometimes we won't always be able, excuse me, to perceive a truth about a person, and we may have to just take them at face value. But of course, you know, try. This reading was all about trying to get better. But that's what Goth Tarot is mostly. And so I thank you for watching us today. And I want to remind everybody to watch our live streams Thursday night, tomorrow night at 7 to 9 p.m. and Sunday 2 to 4 p.m. And somewhere in between that, there's also going to be Banshees Material Matters at 10 a.m. Sunday mornings. No happy hour this week. We're at a live event on Saturday, so we won't be here for happy hour. But Friday, if you're interested in just regular emotional relationships, romantic or otherwise, you can check into the Emotional Exchanges. That's my show on Friday mornings, bright and early at 7 o'clock. You get the whole week's perspective for what's going on with your elemental association, as well as a quick card of the day for each zodiac sign. So that's it for Goth Tarot. Thanks for coming, and please do support us in all the ways. We're on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook as TFT Tarot for Today. We're on YouTube. Help us grow on YouTube. Press all the little buttons for donations if you wish to. We would really appreciate that. But more importantly, join our tarot tribe. We have a lot of fun and we are growing, and we're here not to make money so much. You can order readings and consultations through our website, again, TFT Tarot for Today. But here on YouTube, we are here to grow a family of seekers and people who can support each other. So once again, take care, and we'll see you next time.